Welcome to the final ACES training video. In this session, we will be learning about the line listings. As you can see on the navigation bar at the top of your screen, there is a line listings tab for both ED, emergency department visits, and AD, inpatient admissions. Like the two EpiCurve tabs in our second training video, their individual functionalities are very similar, so you could reasonably follow along using either. For this video, however, we have opted to use ED line listings. You may notice as you follow along today that some portions of the tour have been modified and don't appear the same way on this video that they do on your own screen. This is for privacy reasons, as we do not want to publicly reveal any patient demographics as we are showcasing real data. If you found anything unclear because of this, please feel free to contact our team at kflaphi@kflaph.ca. The viewable data when you first arrive at the line listings page will depend on the type of user you are. That is, hospital users will only see data for their own acute care facility, whereas health unit users will see data for all the facilities in their jurisdiction that are partnered with ACES. In each case, the line listings are displaying data chronologically for the current day and the preceding day as the default date range setting. In the example on my screen, data displayed is grouped by all available categories except FSALDU, patient postal code, date, and age have been masked. This is one of the modifications I mentioned earlier. Using the downwards facing arrow icon on the far right corner of your line listings, you can specify what you would like to see displayed on your screen. You can further orient the data by sorting in descending or ascending order, based on a specific variable in the table. We will return to this feature near the end of the training video. Now, if you bring your attention to the Tools menu on the right side of your screen, you will see that it is very similar to the Tools menu available on the EpiCurves tab, which was showcased in video 2. The only difference is that the date grouping feature is not found on the Line Listings tab, because ACES restricts the amount of data one can pull to a maximum of 7 days. This is to prevent users pulling large amounts of data which would invariably time out and potentially cause ACES to crash. With that said though, users can still select any 7-day period historically if they so choose. Because we already toured through the Tools menu in the EpiCurves video, we will not be diving back into it in today's session, as we're assuming you now have this knowledge of what each of the drop-down tool options contain. For the purposes of this video, we will be demonstrating the line list features on all visit data from the KFLNA geography, which contains 3 hospitals. The data we will be working with is 2 full days worth of visits from March 1st and 2nd. We have modified the date range accordingly, as shown in the date from and to boxes. As you can see, there were a total of 695 visits on the course of these 2 days, as shown at the bottom of the table. The default page size on this tab is 25 line records, but using the drop-down menu, users can change this page size to show up to 1,000 visits on a single page. Next to the page size, you will also notice the number of pages that the 695 records span. Here, it's 28 pages of 25 records each. If the user leaves the page size at 25, you can use the arrows to scroll through the pages as shown. If the user decides to change the page size to 1,000, our 695 visits will now all appear on one page with a scroll bar for the user to peruse the data with, as we are showing now. In your use of the system, you can, of course, choose to request line listings for up to 5 specific syndromes, rather than all of them as we are doing, simply by using the Syndrome drop-down menu. Each individual line list record can be selected to get a few more details regarding an individual patient record simply by clicking on it. Again, in the example on your screen, some fields have been redacted to protect patient privacy. You will see 3 tabs at the top of the window: Details, which we will review in just a moment, Alerts, which indicates if this record triggered an alert, and Metadata, information specific to when the record was sent to us and when the system classified it. The Details tab includes the information one would see in the line list view, but it also includes extra information about the date and geography of that patient's visit. You'll also notice a dialog box titled Most Likely Syndromes. Here, you can see which syndrome the ACES classifier assigned to that visit based on the chief complaint. This is based on a % probability, and in most cases, you will see a couple extra possible syndromes, but the syndrome with the highest % probability is the one that is assigned to that record. The closer the percentage value is to 100%, the more confident the classifier was in assigning the complaint to that syndrome. For more information about how this is calculated by our classifier, please see the user manual. As you can see on your screen now, the selected visit did not trigger an alert, and the metadata shows you when the ACES system received the record. When the system classified it with a syndrome, whether the record was amended after initially receiving it, and in some cases, whether or not the patient was subsequently discharged. Earlier, I mentioned that we would be returning to the grouping function on the main line listing page. Now we'll dive a bit deeper into this functionality. The primary use for this function is to help summarize the data that you have pulled. If you select the downwards facing arrow in the upper right corner of the table, as shown now on your screen, you can select and deselect any of the data elements as was described before using the checkboxes. You can also group the data using the little bullet row icons on the right side of this menu. On the screen, we have first selected to group the data by sex. Over the course of March 1st and 2nd, there was 376 female and 319 male patients seen in the KFLNA Health Unit geography. A user can then break this down by any of the remaining data elements. Here we have chosen CTAS. This now shows over the course of 2 days how many females were assigned CTAS codes between 1 and 5. For a further definition of what CTAS is, please visit the ACES user manual. Of the 376 females, you can see that 6 of them were assigned a CTAS of 0, with another 12 of them not being assigned a number at all. Each grouped item can be selected to show you the actual line listings for that summarized number. Here we have chosen to view the 2 male patients that were assigned a CTAS score of 6. The CTAS scale ranges from 1 to 5, so the fact that these 2 people were assigned a 6 indicates this is a data entry error. In any event, users can group by any of the data elements in the Group By menu. Understanding this functionality clearly requires users to use the feature on their own to get a better sense of how it can aid in their analysis of their own data. As always, further help can be obtained by referencing the user manual. The last feature contained in this Group By menu is the search bar at the top. Users can enter a particular keyword that they are interested in, and it will search the current data you have pulled to see if that keyword is contained in the 695 records currently listed. Using this feature is particularly useful for uncommon words or new emerging threats that may not be covered in our current natural language classification schema. For example, we have typed in the word trauma. You can now see the records that appear are only those that contain the word trauma, and the total items number is also changed accordingly. Again, this is a very specific feature that individual users will need to use on their own to ascertain how useful the feature is to them. The last option we will review is the Download CSV button at the bottom of the page. This is a similar feature to the Download Chart button found on the Epicurves tabs. It allows the user to export an Excel file of whatever data you have selected using the tools and grouping options. Our team has developed ACES in such a way that we hope any analysis a user requires can be done within the system itself. But in response to more recent requests, we have allowed for the downloading of this data to help facilitate individual and custom manipulations of the line list data. This concludes our third and last ACES training video. The final tabs available to users regarding maps and alerts are not suited to a training video. Users can reference the appropriate sections of the ACES user manual to explore how to use these 2 tabs and what they each contain. If you have any questions about anything you learned in this or any of our other videos, please contact us at kflaphi@kflaph.ca.